synopsis of his road to Carmel Mission. So long ago in a faraway land, aka, 55 years ago in Ireland, Father Paul was growing up in a faithful Irish family, but despite his grandma's hopeful prayers, he did not feel an early calling to a vocation necessarily. But God was working in his own time and in his own way. As he grew closer to graduating high school, he was planning to go on to college. He was interested in journalism, current events, communications, not quite sure what the future would hold. And the night that he graduated, he went out and celebrated with his friends. And as the party wound down, he continued to feel restless. He was walking around thinking hard about his future, and his steps took him to a church. And he went and knocked on the door, and he spoke that day to a priest. And that began the long process of discernment. He went home from that conversation and said to his family, some of whom were a little surprised, some of whom were super thrilled, that he thought he might want to be a priest. Fast forward to June 11th, 1978, Paul Patrick Murphy was ordained a priest in the Archbishop of Dublin and began down the path that would bring him here with us 45 years later. In his early priesthood, Father Paul had an affinity and a great ability with faith formation and religious education. It was in this important work that he devoted the beginning half of his priesthood, including earning a master's degree. He was working for the Archdiocese of Dublin in these arenas, and that left part of his summers free. And it was the tradition at the time that Irish priests serving in pastorships in the United States would invite Irish priests living in Ireland to come and cover in their parishes for their own summer vacations. So it began that Father Paul was able to go to Long Beach, and he served a few years in the summer supplying at Long Beach. And one year, the pastor there loaned him his car and said, you could take a trip while you're here. So he drove up the coast of California and landed in a little town called Carmel. And he came and visited Carmel Mission for the first time. And I'm not going to say it was love at first sight, but I think it was pretty close. So the next year, the opportunity came for him to supply here in the Diocese of Monterey at St. Patrick's in Watsonville. So he began to come each summer and know the Diocese of Monterey, and then go back to Dublin and work in religious education and faith formation during the year. After 20 years of service in the Archdiocese of Dublin, he was entitled to 1 year of sabbatical. And he chose to come back to California to study at UC Berkeley, the Jesuit School of Theology. He frequently visited the Diocese of Monterey during this time, met Bishop Sylvester Ryan, went back after his year of sabbatical and said, I'm not quite ready to come back to Ireland. I'm not quite ready to commit to California, but I'm not quite ready to come back to Ireland. So he came back for 1 more year. And at the end of that year, as it was drawing to a close, Bishop Sylvester Ryan invited him to come and make his permanent home as a priest in the Diocese of Monterey, and he accepted. He came first as an associate at San Carlos, became pastor at Holy Eucharist in Carlitos, then pastor at St. Angela's in Pacific Grove, and finally in the August of 2013, almost 10 years ago, he came home to Carmel Mission. Yay! A priestly vocation is a career, it's a long-term intimate relationship, and it's a way of life all rolled up into one. It requires commitment, skill, sacrifice, determination, and like almost all things in life, I find a sense of humor, which Father Paul has in spades. In my 10 years of knowing Paul Murphy, 10 years, time flies, I have seen him live his vocation to the fullest. He embraces the work in a way I am all too familiar with. We do try to get the other one to not be a workaholic, but it's such a pot and kettle situation that it's a little ridiculous. I've observed him and been inspired by his relationship with God. It's a subtle relationship, but it's opened my eyes and mine to a God who is creative and playful and always leads with compassion and understanding. And I've witnessed him develop his relationships with God's people, taking the time to get to know them, to get to know you, and how he can serve you best. And I have seen the way the life of priesthood occasionally weighs on him, but much more often lifts him up. I am very proud and grateful to stand here today to thank Father Paul, one of the dearest people in my life, my teacher, my mentor, my advocate and ally, my friend and my chosen family, for saying yes to God. And he didn't just say yes to God 45 years ago. He has to say yes to God every single day since. Thank you, Father Paul, for your courage and commitment. I practiced that so I wouldn't cry during it, and I did pretty well.
Yep.
All right, we have more than words to express our appreciation today. So Father Paul, would you please come forward, and Deacon Warren and Father Ray, can you come up as well?
So Laura actually has a PhD in music performance and opera. She wasn't choir director, but she pretty much took over all the liturgy responsibility as well as all the music responsibility. Yeah.
So, when we began to conceive of this celebration, which actually began back with Father Rodrigo, when we were realizing this year was going to be such an important year in the life of Father Paul, it came to my mind, no surprise, to organize a special gift, more than a token of our profound appreciation. So I consulted with Father Ray and Father Rodrigo, and we found a common theme. The one thing left on Father Paul's bucket list is a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. So we went to work to rally the community, and we were astonished at the love and support that came rushing back through us to Father Paul. By the by, he is not an easy person to keep a secret from, you may know, especially because we let like 400 people in on the secret, but I think he doesn't quite know what's in the bag today. I'm happy to say that thanks to the generosity of so many families and individuals, almost 100 families in our community and beyond our community, we can give to you today the resources for the trip of a lifetime, which you so richly deserve. And we also created this poster, which has the names of everyone who contributed, so that when you return and the trip is just a memory, you'll be reminded of how many people loved and appreciated you to make this opportunity possible. And this is the box. This is the important part. Yeah. Oh yes, okay. We do have just one more thing. So when I sing at ordinations for the diocese, I'm not a particularly sentimental person, but there's one moment that catches me so badly. And of course I'm supposed to be singing, so it's even worse. And that is that at the end of the ordination, after they've been ordained, after they've celebrated the Mass with the bishop, each newly ordained priest blesses his family. His mother, usually parents or close members of his family, and they're the first people to receive his blessing. And it's a very special blessing that you receive from a priest on the day of his ordination. And I'm supposed to be singing, but I'm usually crying. Unfortunately, Father Paul's family could not be here with us today, but they are sending their best wishes, and I'm sure they're going to look forward to the pictures of this beautiful celebration. We are hoping that you might offer your blessing on the three of us today in their stead.
So I'm really speechless after that. First of all, after Laura's beautiful, wonderful tribute, which I do not deserve. But so grateful. I hope somebody recorded it. Did somebody record it? I'd love to listen to it again and play it to people in case they don't believe me. But thank you all for being here this afternoon. It means such a great deal to me. And You are the reason that I became a priest all those years ago. It's hard to believe it's 45 years, but time did indeed truly fly. And my friends back in Ireland, every summer when I come over to the States, they say, Murphy, next year you're going to stay there. You're not going to come back to us. So it took 20 years for me to make that decision, and it was really God inspired that decision. I've never looked back on it, never regretted it one day in my life. And to the younger priests like Father Ray, Father Freddie, who are here with us today, I would just say, that every day is a blessing in our priesthood. There are always temptations, there are always trials, always tribulations of one sort or another. But it's the same in most careers, most walks of life. Ours are slightly different in their character. But, if you keep your focus on the one who called us, keep your focus on the Eucharist, as Bishop pointed out during our celebration earlier, we can't go wrong. We can't go wrong. And we may fall occasionally, but God pulls us up and pulls us back and puts our mind back onto the focus it's meant to have. So, I can honestly say, because people ask me sometimes, did you ever regret making that decision to become a priest? And I have to say honestly, hand on heart, no, I have never regretted it. I've had some doubts, uncertainties, some difficult times, but I've never really regretted it, or I've never had to take some time off to consider whether I truly have a vocation. So thank you, God. Thank you so much, God. And little did I think all those 45 years ago that I'd end up in a beautiful place like this, which is so close to heaven, Carmel Mission. I just love this place. I love the fabric, the adobe bricks, the tiles, many of them out of place because of the storms. I love the trees. I love the flowers, everything about this place. But the thing I like most about it is you, the people who make this parish. Because we can have a beautiful historical place. We're situated in a place where a saint was our founder and is buried at the foot of the altar. All those things are valuable, and it's valuable and necessary to keep this place intact for future generations. But the most valuable thing about our parish here in Carmel Mission is the faith that we share. Faith in Jesus Christ, faith that we are a community with hope in our hearts, and that despite all the difficulties we encounter on a daily basis, we always move forward. With hope in our hearts. So I can identify totally with that siempre adelante of Uniprocera, and he's had such a major part in my priesthoods, especially since I've been here. So once again, I thank you for your kindness, for your encouragement, for your involvement in our wonderful parish. And we're not an insular, inward-looking parish. We look out around and we see, well, where are the needs of the people not too far from us? We try to minister to their needs also. So thank you for all your involvement, all your ministries, your service. And let's pray for one another. Let's pray for one another on this day and always, that all of us will be able to answer our baptismal call, make the world a better place by our presence. Let me give a blessing.
Amen.
So thank you all very much. I think, where are the musicians? I think we're ready for some more music. There's some more wine. I don't know if they're still serving lunch, but we could probably convince them to fire up the grill again if need be. But we hope you'll stay, enjoy some time together. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Woohoo!